Oh my God, welcome back to the Nour Hadidi podcast for, I think, maybe my favorite episode that we're going to do because it's with one of my best friends and the loveliest human beings who has ever graced this earth. She's funny, she's kind, she's wonderful. I love her so much. And I should probably give a list of your accomplishments to be professional. I shouldn't just be like, oh, she's lovely. She's got an incredible album out with comedy records. You can see her special Denied Entry on YouTube, her comedy special. She has a half hour with Comedy Central Arabia. She's so funny. She's so incredible. Please help me welcome Atheer Yacoub. Woo!
Woo! Let's clap for me.
Sorry, it's just me clapping. If there were,
I know I'm joining in just so it sounds like more people.
Atheer, thank you for doing the podcast on such short notice.
Oh my God, Nour, if you wanted to talk and catch up, you didn't have to pretend you had a podcast. You could have just called me. It's been like a year.
I should have. We haven't. I think you were going through a crisis and I was going through a crisis at the same time. So you were like, call me when you can. And I'm like, okay, I will, but I couldn't. And that, you know what I mean? It's
we deal with crises differently. I'm like, call everyone on my list. Yeah. And then you're like, let me go in my hole and like not bother. Not that it's a bother. I love, that's nice. I'm jealous. I quit.
How?
Just do harder drugs. I did mushrooms and it broke my brain.
Cocaine, methamphetamine.
In a good way. No, it's the only thing. I don't really consider psychedelics or weed drugs. I think they're just coping. I like psychedelics because they kind of tell you what you need at the time. And it just sort of broke my brain in a way that every time if I smoked or, I would just go back into a very bad hole. And then I realized it was contributing to my depression. So I've been quit almost like a year. I mean, I went back like a little bit, but then it's been like a solid 10, 11 months. And I definitely feel a lot better. But honestly, it's like whatever works for you. Everybody, sometimes you just have your time with something and it works till it doesn't. So that's kind of what happened with me. But it's hard to escape. But then I realized that is kind of part of the problem is like the escaping. Like, what are we escaping from? And as long as there's a place to escape, then you're kind of not dealing. But what do I know? I just fired my therapist. So
what happened?
I didn't fire her. No, I'm kidding. It's just been like 2 years and I've gone through so many different therapists and I feel like I'm all talked out with talk therapy. Now I'm like, just give me electric shock. Let's go get the big guns or something. I need something more like body oriented. I'm like, let's do some shrooms. I'm on ketamine therapy. I'm like, I need something stronger than just a conversation. This isn't going to cut it.
I do emotional freedom technique, which is tapping. So you're talking, but you're also calming your nervous system down and you're processing things with like, yes, you're talking, but it actually, because the nervous system doesn't know time. So if you talk about something, it could could feel just as bad as when it happened. So what this does is it grounds you. You've been trying to get me to do ketamine therapy. Like
and mushrooms. Yeah.
For a while. I'm scared. I don't know. Now because of the genocide, I kind of lost my mind this week. And I've been getting high every single night. And I know exactly what you mean. It's an escape. It's like, I try to wait until the sun is down because if I'm smoking during daylight, it just feels wrong. It just feels wrong. Yeah. And like, I'm escaping too hard. But if I wait until the sun goes down, that's how I explain it to myself. It's like, okay, like I've waited.
Like Ramadan rules.
Yes.
Yeah. Iftar. Weed iftar.
Exactly.
It's not a problem. No, listen, I was like a wake and bake person. No judgment here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let me just get through the day.
But I get it. And oh man, I think that like this world is so hard and whatever coping mechanism you can find, whether it be therapy or drugs, like do it. Just get through what you need to get through.
Unless it's life-threatening, I feel like don't do the hard stuff. Don't be on.
No, when I say drugs,
heroin.
I mean weed and mushrooms, like earthy drugs that came from the earth and not made in a lab.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Thank you for pointing that out.
Although I am very pro LSD. I just discovered it, like not discovered it, but started. It's basically the next step from mushrooms, and it's also, I mean, natural from a fungus that
Is
is
it
just
though?
recreated in a lab. It's just the name is gives it a bad rap. It's just, yeah, it's a fungus that's on rice, I believe, so similar to like
So
the
it's
effect that mushrooms have, but they just manufacture it in a lab, I guess, to recreate it. But it's like
mm,
it's the same effect. I've been reading a lot of like Ram Dass and a lot. He like wrote a lot of books on LSD, and he talks
he
about mushroom
did?
and psychedelic. Yeah, you should like. Yeah, it's really helped me get through the pandemic. Jesus, the genocide.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it doesn't feel like we've had a break. It feels like a pandemic went right into a
it does.
genocide. Like
Yeah.
honestly. And here's the thing is that I've been in New York. Whenever I come to New York, something happened. Like I don't know. Like when we were in the pandemic, I came to New York and you were moving, right? You moved from the Upper East Side to Brooklyn, and I stayed with you for a month, and I still like thank you for having me. And
Oh
it
my
was
God.
like so wonderful to be with you and there. And then I was also in New York October 2023, and I feel like we were such like support. Maybe I don't know. I won't put words in your mouth, but you were a support system for me, and I would just come
Mhm.
over and we would watch what it was. You got me into
Oh
Love
yeah,
Is
Love Is
Blind.
Blind. Wait, have you watched Kismo Nasib?
No,
My
I know you
cousin
want
made
me
me
to
watch
watch
it. It's
it.
so bad. It's so bad. No, it's so bad. It's like the Arab Love Island. It's so trash.
Oh
It's weird.
God,
It doesn't. But anyway, Love Is Blind was fun to watch.
Love Is Blind got us through October 2023. I will
Yeah,
say
you're
it.
like there are bigger tragedies in the world.
Oh my God.
So it really puts
You're
things in
so funny,
perspective.
bitch. Okay. Um Atheer, wait, so I'm gonna play people some of your comedy on this
Oh
podcast.
God,
No, why? We'll
I
put
don't
it in
know.
post. We'll
Okay,
put it in
only if
post.
it's good. Is it a clip and then I'm bombing? Is this a roast podcast?
No, it's gonna be from your special on YouTube.
No, I speak multiple languages. I speak English, obviously, Arabic, and checkpoint Hebrew. If you guys don't know what that is, it's where you have to learn a language to save your life. Like, I have friends who are like, you know, I couldn't learn a new language if there was a gun to my head. You sure about that? It's actually very motivating. Better than Duolingo.
Also, it's Nour's voice introducing me because she hosted it.
That's
and
true.
It's her
I
voice.
did. I was so thank you for having me host your album comedy
Oh my
special
God.
taping.
It was an honor. I don't know.
No,
who
it was
knows
an honor
me.
for
Oh
me,
my God.
Atheer. You're so funny. You're so talented. And here's the thing. I think that since this genocide, like I've always been, I think, political, but I've never been pointedly political about Palestine, but you always have. And I don't think I realized the weight you carried all these years we were friends. So we met like early 2010s. We met at the New York Arab American Comedy Festival. We became really good friends. You would come visit me in Montreal, Toronto. I would come visit you in New York. And I would talk about Jordan and you would talk about Palestine on stage. And I just feel like I never really understood the magnitude of what you were saying. Like I think we were in our early 20s and I was like, yeah, we're both talking about where we're from. But I didn't realize how your art was like resistance from the get-go. Like you were punching up from day one. I'm going to ruin a joke. I don't know if we've put it in already, but like you say that you were born you're Palestinian, but you live in Alabama. So you're a little bit country and a little bit throwing stones.
Oh God, I don't do that joke anymore, but it's not
No,
on the
you
album.
don't?
But that was like an old, starter. I'm glad you like it though. But yeah.
But Atheer, it's like you've
It's so
always
silly.
been so political and you've always been so funny, and you've always been so defiant and strong. And I wonder, like, did you feel like you were carrying that weight on your shoulders when you were writing these jokes early on?
I felt like the weight was always there, and writing these jokes was a way for me to unload them
Okay.
because I felt like people needed to know and people needed to understand, and it was more of the catharsis of it
Mm,
rather than holding. It was just a way to release. It was a release valve for all of these things that I'd been holding.
right. Wow. So it was more for you to get things off your chest and process your life. And the fact that it was resistance and it was like punching up was secondary. It was more you as a person.
Well, I don't know if I would give them a hierarchy. It kind of felt like if I could make somebody else laugh and feel good about something that is a horrendous situation, then I feel like that's kind of what kept me going in comedy and
Mhm.
keeps me going is because it's not about me. Like
Mm,
comedy feels like something greater and it's about connection and it's about making people feel better because I know like comedy definitely saved my life in many ways. And if I can give that catharsis to someone else, then that's what keeps me, pushes me even when I feel really low because it's
mhm.
not about me. It's like I said, something greater. And it's
Yeah.
like the only way I feel like I can show resistance, or like we all have to use our skills and tools. I mean, it's not the only way. You got to go to protest, whatever you can do, boycott, all of that stuff, of course. But in the sense of like my greater life path, it's one of the biggest ways that I feel like I can contribute.
Wow. You just answered a question I was going to ask you because while we were like trying to schedule this episode, you were telling me all like the things you have going on today. And in my mind, I was like, how is Atheer able to do this? Because I find myself so helpless and at home. And sometimes I can't even push myself to do comedy. So I think you just answered the question where it's like it's a bigger thing than yourself. And that's what pushes you to do it. Because sometimes I'm like, how does Atheer keep going? She's in Ireland and she's in Tokyo and she's out here traveling and telling jokes. Like, where is she finding the strength to do this? Not that I don't think you're strong. It's just that I know how sensitive you are. And if it's affecting me, I know for a fact it's affecting you more, just as much, if not more. Because, well, why don't you? I'm sorry we waited this long in the episode. Why don't you tell
No.
people basically like about your life story and how you found comedy and like how you got to this point today?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of us, comedy kind of found us because our lives were just so kind of insane in many ways. Like I was born in Alabama, then I moved to Palestine when I was 6 months, and the first Intifada or uprising started, and we
Where
lived
in
there
Palestine were you?
in Ramallah in the
Ramallah.
West
Okay.
Bank.
Okay.
So I lived in Ramallah until I was like 5, moved back to Alabama because my dad at the time couldn't, he didn't have, they wouldn't he basically became refugee because he was out of the country in Kuwait working for a little while. And
Oh.
at that point, the Israelis gave whoever was physically there kind of residency or Hawiyya to be there. And my dad couldn't come back. So both my parents were born, raised in Palestine, but then if you left at that time and you just happened to not be there when the Israelis were giving residency, and that's why there's so many people like were fighting for the right of return. But then through my mom, after like 30 years, was able to get the Palestinian citizenship, which doesn't make
Wow.
sense anyway, and is also like not a real thing. But anyway, so my parents moved to Alabama in the 70s, and then the goal was always to go back to Palestine, and we kept moving back and forth. But then my dad would be stuck here in the States, and then me and my mom and little brother, or my older brothers, when they were still in school, would also live with us in Ramallah. And then we moved to Alabama, and decided to move back when I was in 8th grade. And then it was like it was like late 90s, 99 or something, 2000, and the second Intifada started.
Wow, you're just
And
timing
then,
it with the intifadas. You're just
yeah,
like,
my whole life is around which uprising was that?
yeah.
Literally, like,
I think you should move back so we
yeah.
can get a third intifada here.
Honestly, every time we moved, an Intifada started. So I think about, I mean, I think it never really stopped, honestly. So then after high school, we moved back to Alabama, and then 9/11 happened.
Oh
And
my
I was
God.
like, I was the only Arab, and it was 2001, obviously. And then there were no other Arabs in my school and around, and it was like a horrendous experience. And I just wanted to get the hell out of Alabama. But of course, like my parents wouldn't let me move after, like, for college. So I had to finish college there. And then as soon as I graduated, I'd already like applied to grad schools in New York, because I was like, this is like the acceptable Arab girl way to move out. You either get married or you get into a grad program
Higher
or something.
education. Yeah.
Higher education, right? Because you're like, they can't deny that, but I can't just be like, I'm just moving to New York to like fuck around, you know?
Yeah.
So, but that year that I moved to New York was 2008. My parents and my little brother moved back to Palestine for a few years. Now they're back in Alabama.
I didn't know that.
But yeah. So I was here, like, yeah. And my older brothers, I have two older brothers, they're like married with kids. They were in Alabama still. So our family's always kind of been split up and all over the place. And then as soon as I got to New York, I used to come visit New York when I was in college, and I had like friends here from Palestine, and we would go to comedy clubs because I was too young to go into like bars and stuff. And I just loved how people would just talk about themselves and express themselves. And I didn't understand that this was like a thing you could do. And I was just like, and then I saw the Arab Comedy Festival, actually, I think in one of my visits, right? And I was like, oh my God, like, this is so cool. There are other people like me with these weird mismatched upbringings and talking about their stories. And it related so much that, you know, eventually I was like starting to do open mics, and then yeah, sent in a tape. And then that's when I got in, and I met you like that first year that I was there. And yeah, it was.
Can I just give a shout out to Maysoon and Dean, who are the OG Arab comedians who ushered in. They made so many young Arabs feel like they could do comedy, they could be on stage. I wouldn't be a comedian without Maysoon Zayed and Dean Abdallah. So Dean and Maysoon, thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for paving the way for us. We love you both.
Yeah, they really like created such a beautiful like thing, and it was born out of like post 9/11 Islamophobia. And it really, like, I met some of the best people at the Arab Fest and some great comedians, and it's always such a fun hang too.
Yeah, it is. I used to, when I had a day job, I had so much disposable income that I would go to the fest every year. But then when comedy became my full-time job, I couldn't afford it as much. So like, I know every year you're like, are you coming for the fest? And
I
every
know.
year I break your heart, and I'm like, I'm going to try, but I'm
This
sorry.
year.
You're just from Alabama. You're just
I'm
a
just
girl.
an Alabama girl. Yeah, I'm just a Southern belle from Alabama.
I also remember you FaceTiming me in the pandemic and me seeing suburban Alabama behind you. Like, you would just go for these long walks to decompress and call me, and I'd get to see Alabama behind you, like all these houses and streets. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, I only ever pick up from my couch, so you've only ever seen my one plant that's dying.
I'm very familiar. Yeah, I see it progressively just dying more and more. No.
But we are trying. Atheer is touring, and so she might have a Toronto date in the fall. So we will keep you all posted.
Yes.
So you have to come out and
wanting to come back. And and just to answer the previous question, because I think it's a very legitimate feeling to feel like I can't do anything. I don't want to move. I just want to stay on my couch. Like, everything you do is in defiance and is in resistance. Everything you do to take care of yourself. Like I say, I can't liberate every single Palestinian right now, but at least I can start with myself and try to liberate myself.
Okay, bar. That was a bar. Oh my God.
And everything that you know Israel does not want you to do, you should do. So they don't want you taking care of your mental health. And I keep reminding everyone, this is first a psychological war as much as it is a physical war. It
Yeah.
is psychological. It's meant to make you feel defeated, meant to make you feel like there's nothing worth living for, to fight for. But I think if we take ourselves out of it and realize that we're part of something much greater, and there are, and this is where the spiritual stuff comes in for me, is like there's a reason probably beyond our understanding, complexities of why things are the way they are. And even, no one understands that more than people in Gaza. They know, and whatever is happening, and they accept that this is happening. I don't know. They've really taught me a lot about how to approach things and understand things. So I'm like, if they're finding a reason to get up every day and live, and a lot of them making Instagram videos, and I can make one, I'm like, they're finding the strength. And not to say that everybody is going to feel the same way at all times, but what we have to do is, each work on ourselves. That's why every spiritual book also talks about, making yourself pure, because we kind of have to inoculate ourselves spiritually, so we don't pass on this energy and trauma.
Inoculate mean? I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
No, I think about it like when we were in the pandemic and everybody got vaccinated, so that we created this herd immunity. So you may not be sick, or at least you're preventing the sickness from being passed on, and the sickness being, Zionist trauma, and just making sure that we are purifying ourselves from this type of so it's like creating the spiritual herd immunity, because the more I'm uplifted and I'm strong, then I'm not gonna, when I interact with someone, they're gonna be, it's less likely I'm gonna pass this, energy of defeatism, and not being able to do anything to the next person, right? And conversely, if somebody's feeling better, and maybe the next person they interact with is going to feel a little bit better. And so, I think it goes in for everything, but especially during this time when we are being targeted psychologically and physically and in every way, we just have to, try to take care of ourselves.
The thing is that I feel like the more I grow up, the more I learn to deal with things, but the psychological aspect, which, like you said, is policy, like the Dahiyya doctrine is policy. What the Dahiyya doctrine, for people who don't know, it's based off of a neighborhood in Lebanon called Dahiyya, and it's where the Israeli army has a policy of terrorizing civilians into oppressing them, into silencing them. And it's that psychological level of warfare that I am not able to keep up with. I think that's what it literally broke my mind, Atheer. I broke down for 2 days and was crying and couldn't even think straight. And I just want you to know you're helping me so much with what you're telling me, to take care of myself, because it's an act of defiance. And for me to go out and do comedy, a lot of times I would feel guilty that I'm out here laughing, other people are laughing, while in Gaza they're dying. And so for you to reframe that in my mind and say, no, you go about with your life. We can't let Israel stop more of our lives than they already have. You go out, you live your life, you be strong, you have this spiritual, what you said, purity. My spirit is intact from your psychological warfare. I am going to continue fighting. I'm going to continue speaking. I am going to continue resisting. That in itself is 2.0. It's leveling up. Do you know what I mean? And so you've literally changed my life with what you've just told me. So thank you.
It's changed my life. And I do expect me to send you more YouTube links.
Well, you already sent me one that was really great about keeping your heart open, right?
When you're in hell. Yeah.
Yes.
And understanding there are dying kids in Africa. There are starving people here. It's the world has always been tragic, but there is some sort of balance and order that exists for a reason that is beyond our understanding. And I think people in Gaza understand that, and they accept the will of Allah. And I've also, come to understand Allah as this collective consciousness, greater force than all of us. And they are the most exemplary people upholding that, of like, you can't kill people who aren't afraid of death, because they understand it doesn't stop with death. It's just, if anything, it's a liberation, because you return back to your original source. And I think that helps a lot. So people who are not afraid of death, what else are you going to throw at me?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Atheer, like I feel like as a Muslim, I'm always scared to say things like like what you just said, of like greater consciousness, and we go back to where we come from. And it's because it's a bit more like spiritually like white woman-y. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Islam is, I find, maybe more rigid, the way I was brought up in Islam. So to hear you say that is also like, that's how I feel, is that we all have the same soul in us. We all have God in us. And that, yes, we have consciousness before we come on earth. We have consciousness after we leave earth. And this is just like, it's a play. We're pretend. We're like, and so you to say that, it's like, that's what matters in life. And that's the other thing. It's like my whole world has shifted. One of the reasons I don't do comedy is because I'm like, what do I want to do with my life? It's like, I want to make the world a better place. My number one goal now is to contribute to this collective humanity, this collective soul, collective energy. And I feel like the podcast has been one way for me to do it. And I find that like activism, like using my body, going to protests, doing things, like I feel like that's where I'm like standing in my strength of saying, our collective humanity is more important than you making money, than me being successful, than, anyone being able to buy a car whenever they want. Do you know what I mean? Like the capitalist structure we're in is in direct defiance of this collective humanity that we are responsible of taking care of. So
it starts with taking care of ourselves, because how can you take care of somebody else and contribute positively, right? If you're sick, are you going to go into a crowded space and think that you're protecting other people? No, you're carrying that virus with you. So you have to first, that's what I mean by inoculating, purifying yourself. And also everything that I'm saying it is supported by, if you look at the Quran, you look at it in a more spiritual way. Honestly, reading about other practices, whether it's Hinduism, Buddhism, Tao, Zen, everything, I'm like, wait, this is sounding a lot like the Quran, but people who don't let other people define it for you. And I mean, this is what I love also about Sufism. It is more of taking the spiritual kind of, I guess, the woo-woo part of the Quran. And it's about finding that divinity in yourself. And it's so beautiful. And I just think that, the way we were raised with this rigid idea of Islam is not because of Islam. It's not because of anything. And there is no one way. The way is the way. That's it. Everybody's struggling to find the way. And even the Quran says that. Lakum dinakum waliya din. What if I become a sheikha now? My God, I've never used to like.
It's crazy.
I used to be so anti like religion. I'm like anti-organized religion. But the more I read about others, I'm like, wait, this is so like oneness, ilahi. That's literally what ilahi or Allah means, is oneness. And everything that I've read just keeps emphasizing oneness, 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 oneness. And the fracturing from that oneness is what causes depression, anxiety, the separateness from ourselves, from the greater consciousness. Of course, if it's going to create isolation. So I think the answer to that is compassion, love, connection. And if it's comedy for you and you can do it in that way, if it's your podcast, if it's like being in service of other people, but just remembering it's not about us. It's not about the individual, because anything that serves the individual is just serving the ego, and that's like a losing battle.
Yes. Okay, so one of the other ways that I have felt like I can go back to that oneness is actually when I go back to Jordan. I just feel so at peace and so part of, and it's like there's things we get being isolated here, like you get your privacy, right? Like when you're in Jordan, it's more community-based, and I don't have privacy. Like my dad will open the door to my room and he will come in. And yes, I lose that privacy, but the things I gain are so filling for my soul, like the community, the connection. like being around people who care. It's like, it's so hard to describe the Arab world to people who have never been, because there's this level of warmth and community that you can't, unless you've lived it, it's hard to, it's really hard to explain. Like, you have to feel it to really know what we're talking about. And I think about moving back all the time. So I wonder, do you ever feel like just packing up and moving to Ramallah or somewhere else in the West Bank?
I mean, all the time, but the way things are right now, it doesn't allow me to live like I think that's what we're kind of fighting for here, is the ability to do that. Even like last summer, I went to Lebanon because I couldn't go to Palestine, and I felt like obviously it's not the time, and I was like, wow, this community, just being around Arabs, speaking Arabic, food, the language. I mean, this is literally why Israel's trying to co-opt everything about us, our food, our culture, our like language. I'm like, oh my God, like just they see that, but they will never be that, because anything that is taken in this way of like sorry, I hear my echo and now I'm like, oh my God, is this what I sound like? It's distracting me. Sorry. ADD. Okay. I'm saying that their intentions are so sinister that they can try to like copy, take whatever, co-opt, but it'll be soulless, because they are soulless.
Yes.
And one thing I really love, a quote about Ram Dass who's talking about, I think it was like a Japanese martial arts form, but basically the concept is, if you're trying to if your goal is to dominate, then you've already been defeated. And I think that defeats Israel.
Yes,
They're
that's so
defeated.
true. That's so true. And I don't think people realize the harm that they've caused for the past 70 plus years. Like, the people who support Israel, like the harm that's done. People in the West Bank live under military rule. Families like yours, Atheer, they can't go back. They can't visit. They can't live in dignity, freedom, safety, peace. They don't have their own currency. They don't have their own government. Like, it's just so, the harm that has been inflicted to uphold this Zionist state has been insurmountable. Like, it has come at such a cost and such a level of violence that people forget and don't see. Like, when people now, they're like, I want to go to Tel Aviv. It's like, do you realize the violence that is currently being upheld just for you to go there? Like, the checkpoints, the military systems, the deaths, it's such a bloody, horrible, the cost is so bloody and horrible that it's immoral and unethical, truly. Like, the fact that anyone can support it blows my mind. And then whenever you confront them, they'll always deflect. They'll be like, well, do you support America? America does bad things. It's like, yeah, well, we're also fighting for America not to do bad things. We don't want children to be killed by drones in Yemen. You're saying that's okay? Like,
they're one and the same, Israel and the US
yes.
and the Western and Europe and most of Europe and the Western, imperialist countries, like they're all the same. I mean, look what happened natives. Like, it shouldn't be the way it is right now.
Canada is selling weapons to Israel. The Palestinian Youth Movement just uncovered a huge report exposing the Canadian government. And also recently there was talk that maybe a UK spy flight was actually providing intel for the murder of Anas, and 5 Al Jazeera journalists. So not only are they selling arms, they're providing intel and diplomatic cover. So they are one and the same. We can think that maybe Israel is a rogue state acting on its own, but it is not. It is part of this Western imperialist war machine. And I think it's important for people to know that, to not think of it, oh, well, we just need to stop Israel. No, it's the whole system that needs to be dismantled.
Yeah, it's just a symptom of everything else. And I also, like, part of me, like, grieves their own souls. I'm like, you're in a cult.
Yeah.
You're the karmic ramifications that this is going to have for lifetimes, if you believe in lifetimes, which now I'm like, I don't think one lifetime could be enough to right the wrong of, you know, what they're doing, and just how it's completely disoriented the whole universe.
Yes. It
And
has
how everyone is
yes.
held, everyone's held to this like prisoner by Zionism, including Zionists.
Yes. I know what you mean. I tell my therapist all the time, I feel bad for those soldiers who put on these weapons and are brainwashed into losing their soul and killing people for an idea they've been brainwashed since they were children. I also I feel bad for them. I'm not saying that we shouldn't hold them accountable, but there is a big part of me that genuinely feels bad for them and their humanity and what they think they're fighting for. And it is a cult. They are brainwashed. It's like whenever you break down one of their points, they just call you anti-Semitic or they go into a fit. It's like, and it's also just such a racist cult, Islamophobic racist cult. The amount of hate and racism and Islamophobia I've gotten.
I mean, it's rooted in white supremacy. It's
Yes.
rooted in the same stuff that capitalism and America and everything is rooted in. It's the same. They're one and the same.
They are one and the same. It's true. So, sorry.
I'm like, is this the funny part?
Is this, yeah, it's a heavy moment.
Yeah, am I being funny enough?
I need to change this podcast. Like, I think I put it on as a comedy podcast on Apple. I think I need to change it. Like, okay, so tell me what's going on with you? Like, what are you working on? How's New York? What's happening?
I mean, I am grateful. At least I'm in New York, and I feel like I found community here, and that's been like really helpful. And it is.
Well, you were Atheer. You talk about community, but you were also attacked by the booker of a comedy club in New York, in Manhattan. Like they were posting,
online, yeah,
they were
crazy shit.
screenshotting your account, posting horrible things. Did you find that a lot of New York comics or like New York community rallied behind you and supported you through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the people that I care about did, and that's the other thing too, is that we do have to stand, united, even as this is something I'm finding in our community as, Arab comedians or anti-Zionist, anti-apartheid comedians, is that there are opportunities that sometimes you got to give up and to not be normalizing with Israelis, whether I've had to boycott Arab-owned spaces because of normalization and like having Israeli like pro-Zionist shows, like producing their shows there. There's so many opportunists in this industry, in every industry, but particularly in entertainment. So this is what I mean. Like people who don't understand, they think it's about like the short term of like, oh, well, let me get this opportunity and whatever. But I'm honestly not worried about any of that, like, or people, like, if you reveal yourself as like a Zionist club booker or owner, it's just better for me to know that. And then,
I think a lot of people don't know this, but the Comedy Cellar in New York is owned by a very proud Zionist. And
who served on the IOF. And
he did?
Yeah,
he served?
Yeah.
So
or at least the owner did. Yeah.
And the booker did, right? The booker and the owner are the booker served in the IDF.
Staunchly pro-Israel.
And is staunchly pro-Israel, had an IDF talk, like hosted IDF soldiers at the club for a closed event. And so that's when you say like in our industry, like a lot of people will say they're pro-Palestine, but then they'll perform at the Cellar because of what it can do for their career. Right. And that's the kind of like lack of moralism, lack of backbone that the hypocrisy is so unbelievable to me. Like I feel like we're in the worst industry a lot of times. There are a lot, like, for what we're for taking a stand and for having a backbone and for having the strength to say, yes, this is a place that could probably change my career, but I refuse to work there because of what it stands for and what it means.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that, because not everybody feels that way.
But that's the crazy thing. No, Atheer, it's
Yeah.
actually crazy to me. It's actually crazy that
Can I say
people
the
work
arguments that people tell me?
Please.
So I believe to justify, oh, well, if I go there among all the Zionist communities and I talk about Palestine and say Palestine stuff, it's like changing the system from the inside. I'm like, this whole system is fucked. No, you're saying that because you want to work there and you're finding some sort of moral justifications for yourself to be able to say that you're still pro-Palestine. But yeah, this is a project. I think this is something that we need to work on, is unifying. This is what I mean, like organizing better. Like there is a Palestine youth movement. There's like all these other movements, but we need to stand strong on basic, agreements. Like we don't work with Zionists. We don't normalize with Zionists. And by normalize, people are like, oh, what? Just have an event. Like it's cool. We can just like hang out. We don't need to talk politics. I'm like, well, that's convenient for you, the person on the side of the genocider and the one in control, because you think the problem is that we just can't like quote unquote get along. That's like the most oversimplified, like insulting thing. Like who the fuck cares? Like whether I like you or not is not the point. Is when you have power over somebody and their livelihood and connections to this genocidal state. Like, no, I want nothing to do with you, not professionally, not personally, in no way. I don't want your bloody money. And also it's not that much money, and it's not really changing that many careers, by the way. It's like, it's just this perception. Maybe back in the day, it used to have a lot more, doors opening for you if you perform at some of these clubs, but the clubs themselves are just like, it's starting to like that old system is starting to kind of fall away, and everyone's becoming their own sort of brand and growing their own following. You can book an indie venue, you can perform wherever you want.
Which has been freeing, I think, for a lot of us, because when I was posting jokes that were like pro-Palestine, I was posting jokes that were anti-Zionism, like I got a lot of hate. And I had a talk with my manager. I called him. I was like, like, I know this is going to hurt. Like, and he like, this is going to hurt my career, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. And he said, Nour, the comedy's changed. No one, if you post something and people like it, that's the only thing that matters. Your fans will come to you. The old system doesn't exist anymore. Like,
no, it doesn't.
Like, this Comedy Central giving you a thumb of approval, it doesn't mean anything. It's like if you if you post and your fans or people are drawn to what you're saying, then that's all that matters. And it's been very freeing for me, I think, to be like not feel confined. And also, Atheer, I just want to go back to something you said where it was like these people, one of the justifications is like, oh, we don't have to talk politics. It's like, yes, but my silence is helping, is benefiting, and is actually enabling this genocide. So if we don't talk politics, it means my hands are just as bloody. And I don't think people either don't recognize it or don't want to recognize it, because then they can absolve themselves and do whatever they want to do. And they can be on a show with a famous comedian who is Zionist because it'll help their career. Like, and that, okay, I just want to mention something. There are a lot of comedians whose hands are bloody with this war. Someone like Amy Schumer, who posted racist, Islamophobic, anti-Palestinian memes and rhetoric, maybe she was thinking she was doing the right thing in her own mind, but she was actively enabling this genocide, whether she likes it, whether I like it, whether you like it. If you look at her posts, there are people who have receipts. The narrative that was out there about the hostages, about Israel is never going to bomb a hospital, like they believed these lies and they said them, and they actually paved the way for children to starve to death. And so I just want to make that a point of like, yes, we're comedians, and yes, people like, but a lot of famous comedians are Zionist, and they had a hand in this.
And they had help with each other, because they also are only going to green light each other or other people who have, similar points of view. And that's really the whole industry. It's very Zionist.
Was it refreshing to like, or I think it was a moment when Zohran Mamdani won after being vocally anti-Israel, like anti-Israeli apartheid. When all the other mayoral candidates were asked where they were going to go, they said Israel. He said, I'm going to stay right here in New York. Like, as a New Yorker, did you feel maybe lighter, or did that make you feel better about living in such a Zionist city where comedy is also very Zionist in Manhattan?
I mean, I'm happy that he is the candidate. I'm happy it's not Eric Adams or Como, but at the same time, I always feel like I need to proceed with caution, because you're still in the system, and he couldn't even explicitly say what he wanted to say, probably, and he had to sort of dance around the topic and avoid saying like, what he wanted to say about Israel. It's like, oh, I'm going to stay in New York, blah, blah, blah. Like, he would like redirect a lot of the stuff, and you still have to play their games in order to be appointed in their system. So I feel really like torn. I'm glad it's him, not the other psychos, but like, and I'm so glad that there were so many anti-Zionist New Yorkers that came out, and younger people. And I hope like as these like older people fall away and the younger people come out and vote and create maybe like a better system, but we can't just keep like working on this rotted house that is at the foundation really, again, rotten to the core. And we can't just keep like fixing it up and being like, look, here's this shiny new person, or like AOC, or that kind of bullshit. And then at the end,
her voting record recently just showed her true colors. It is crazy though that Marjorie Taylor Greene and the like.
I was shocked. Like, I don't know what a Houthi is, but a Houthi never did anything to me.
She said that?
So yeah, there was something. I was like,
or
is
that
AI?
you? Is that you saying?
No,
that?
she did.
She
was
did.
Like saying,
the Houthis. Oh my god, that's so funny. Oh my god. Yeah, and seeing Tucker Carlson interview nuns from the West Bank, I understand that his focus is on Palestinian Christians and not Palestinian Muslims. It does feel like Christian lives matter more than Muslim lives. But at the very least, for me, I'll take it as a win, because at least the truth of what's happening is getting out there. That like, even Christians in the West Bank, they have to go through checkpoints. They're not allowed to go to Jerusalem for cancer treatments. They have to, like, a road that would take an hour is taking them 5 hours because of all the checkpoints and the apartheid that they have to like live under.
The wall and the closures. Yeah. They do, though. Israel does try to divide us by religion by giving them certain, privileges sometimes, or on certain holidays. It might be easier to get I guess, their permission to go to Jerusalem or not Bethlehem, but like they just use that to create divide between Christians and Muslims. But I think we stand pretty solid in, being very like anti-Israel. Obviously, like everyone is suffering. You don't even have to be a Christian or Muslim or Palestinian or anything. Just be in touch with your soul and really ask yourself, like, why am I so attached to this identity? Any identity, but like really just, it amazes me how much people are so, I don't know, they lose themselves in this cult.
Yeah. I can't believe you're not Ram Dass reincarnated at this point.
I wish.
Sometimes when I get high, okay, this is going to sound crazy, but when I get high, I think that I'm Michael Jackson reincarnated. And then I remember that we both were alive at the same time and that can't be possible. Why? Because of music and dance. I'm not good at either of them, but I love them so much on such a deep level that I feel like maybe in a past life, I was an entertainer. And I guess the first one that pops into my mind is like Michael Jackson. Maybe I should pick a better one. Yes, you're right. Maybe we should edit this.
Maybe a less of a controversial one. Yeah.
You're so like, you've always been this, like, you know how you've always been the spiritual friend in my life. You know, you've always been
that's ironic because you've always been the good Muslim friend and mine is like, you know.
Yeah, don't tell Allah about the weed. I just feel like you're such a calm, stable, like strong pillar, I feel, from all your spirituality and the work you do in that world. Would you, do you think that?
I'm surprised to hear, as someone who we jokingly call, Nour came up with Nour 11 because of the number of times I cry hysterically and call Nour, and I'm always like, she's always answering the phones. I'm like just crying immediately. We don't even get like, I always feel like I'm very reactive emotionally, and something I'm trying to work on.
Yeah, but I don't think that that's a weakness. I think that your ability to feel so deeply is actually a strength. Because a lot of people don't allow themselves to do that. They're not capable of it. And I understand how you can feel a little bit out of control when you are so emotionally reactive. But I think it's always worse in your head than it actually is in real life, you know? Yeah. So also, Atheer, you used to cry call me during a pandemic. Like, if that's not a time to break down, when is? Like, I think since then, like, even when I would come over to your house and watch Love is Blind, I feel like you would have already cried by the time I got there. But then when I was there, I don't know, you were just so calm and so like present, I would say, is your energy.
Thank you for saying that. I mean, it's something I'm trying to be and working on. But honestly, Palestinians in Palestine give me strength. Like, it doesn't. It really pushes me forward because I'm seeing like the things that they endure that are beyond the imagination of what any kind of pain that anyone should have to endure. And it does push me. It does push me forward.
I feel the same. I really do. I get my strength from them. And like the little girl who on an empty stomach, her mom braided her hair and sent her to school in a demolished building with her backpack, like just the things like that I'm like, if they can do it, I also don't complain as much anymore, I will say. Like, I don't complain. I'm 1,000 times more grateful for everything I have in life. Like, I had to go to the hospital recently. It was nothing. It was like I had an allergic reaction and then it blistered and it got infected and I couldn't walk. But the whole time I was like, okay, like I'm safe. I have free healthcare. I showed them a card. I was in a different province. I showed them a card, still saw the doctor for free. Doctor treated me. I had enough money to buy medicine. My family's safe. Like, it's just put everything into perspective in my life. Every single thing I go through, I say, like, going back to Islam, I say alhamdulillah, which is thank God. Yeah. I say, thank God that my leg got infected and it could have been 1,000 times worse. You know, like, I think it's changed all of us permanently. I don't think any of us, I don't know, I just feel like a completely different person. And as much as I break down, it's like, yes, some days I'm not even myself and I break down and I cry all the time. But other days I'm like so grateful for everything. Whenever I go through something, I'm like, I'm just grateful. Whatever happens, I'm able-bodied, I'm healthy, my family's not under attack, I'm safe, I have food to eat, and I have a roof over my head. And you know what? That's probably in the top 1% of all humans who have ever lived ever in the history of living and humanity and the earth. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It does really put everything in perspective. And we're only human and we will lose sight of that or complain about the train taking too long or whatever. That's life. And I think it's like sometimes it's directing that pain somewhere else, because sometimes it does feel so overwhelming that you can't even begin to uncover that sort of like the deep injustice of the universe and the pain that you're seeing, on your phones. And it's easier to sort of like have a different outlet that is maybe like a misplaced anger, but what that does is that anger, that pain, what it does bring you closer to your soul, to God, to understanding it, or it can. It's like how
Yes.
you use it. It's how you interpret it and how you use it. And again, like the people in Gaza like are the most like perfect example of that.
Truly. Truly, truly, truly. I just need this genocide to end. I just need it to end. So if you could do that, Atheer, that would be wonderful.
It will end. No empire stays, and I really do believe that it can't sustain itself.
I hope so.
I
hope so.
Yeah.
But then do you ever think about what that would mean for us living in the heart of the empire? It almost feels like the liberation of Palestine is at direct odds with our lives here. Do you ever
Well, I
feel
think
that?
it needs to change here too. I don't know how or what will happen, but I think that you can't just go on with America being the same way it is. And
Yeah.
because I mean, Israel is just like basically an outpost for America, another like military base. So I think things would have to fundamentally change. I don't know what
Also,
that is.
Netanyahu saying he feels connected to greater Israel, which would include Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, all these regimes that are bowing down to U.S. imperialism. Like, they're coming for you next. That's the other thing I don't understand. I can rationalize European silence and complicity because of like history and, geopolitics. I just don't understand how it serves the Arab world to bow down to U.S. imperialism. It's almost like they said a lie and they believed it. They're like, okay, yeah, if we bow down to the U.S., then we'll be safe, we'll be okay. And it's like, yes, you're telling yourself that now, but look at what's happening. I think a lot of people justify what's happening to Palestinians. At least I think Arab leaders do. They're like, oh, they weren't as smart as us. They don't have oil like us or whatever. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's coming for you too. And the fact that they don't see that is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. I know, it's their own like hubris, and like that's the thing. It's individualism, and they think if they just cover their own ass and sell out, then they're going to be safe. But nobody is safe from Zionism.
Yeah. And Atheer, that's the other thing. When you come back to that collective one, I always tell my therapist, if people learned how to love themselves, there would be no war in the world. And I think it's like what you're saying now, which is like individualism. If you genuinely love yourself, then you have no choice but to love everyone around you. Like if you love yourself, it means that you don't use money or status or anything to fill the void that you have, right? So you don't feel like all these other countries, they're using their money and their oil and like their positions in government to fill that void. And if they just loved themselves, like I wish humanity came with a manual. It's almost like we can't be trusted.
It does. It's called the Holy Quran.
Oh, wow.
No. Listen, I'm not even somebody that I guess traditionally practicing Islam in the way that whatever. And I just believe that all these different religions, philosophies, books, there's something good to take away from it. And we should focus on that. But it is the idea of just oneness, and surrendering. If you have nothing, which, literally what Islam means, if you have no other option, no other choice, and no control over the situation, surrender to it, because that's all, it's the most powerful thing that you can do.
And how does one go about surrendering, Atheer? What do you mean by that?
Stop fighting it. Stop fighting the feeling. Just let it be. You know, even as a feeling comes up and you're upset or you're crying, and you notice how like the more you hold it back, the more you like, or you shove it down, the stronger that it gets, right? Whether it's emotions or anything. So you just like observe, understand that it's there, know that it will, let it be there. But anything else that happens in our life, like outside circumstances that we can't control, you know, surrender. And, you know, I love the idea of tawakkul, which is like leaving it to God. So like doing what you can, but leaving the rest to God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And again, this is, I feel like, don't think this is me every day being super zen and whatever and able to do that. I'm just, as I'm now coming at it from a non-emotional place, I can intellectualize it and I can explain it or describe it. But it's a practice too. You got to do something. So whether it's praying or meditation or gratitude list, whatever you got to do, you got to keep practicing these things, because it's so hard in the moment when the feelings and the things come flooding in inevitably, to remember these things like, oh, right, I should just surrender to it. But if you're used to practicing that surrender, then it just happens naturally.
So do you think when I smoke weed at night, I'm not surrendering? Like I'm not letting myself feel the feelings? Do you think I'm escaping?
I think it depends on why. I think that you can use anything for escape, right? Even I was reading in the Sufi book of life, which I really love. It says, don't use your spirituality as an escape. Ooh. So anything can be used as an escape.
Yeah.
It just depends why you're using it.
Yeah, I've got Pokemon as an escape. You know what I mean? I've got weed as an escape. Truly. Like I have some things that I hyper obsess over, and I think it's like a way for me to just like disconnect. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do another playthrough of Pokemon Scarlet. And then what I'll do is I'll buy Pokemon Violet, even though it's the same as Pokemon Scarlet, but it just has different Pokemon in it. So do you know what I mean? So I'll do things like that where it's like, I think it's a soothing mechanism of like, because I think growing up, my two biggest soothing mechanisms were playing video games on the Game Boy and watching TV. Mm. And I think I love
TV.
Yeah.
That is my escape, probably.
I can't wait to move to New York so that we can only ever watch Love is Blind together. It's not the same without you.
I know. You can't watch it alone.
No, it's not the same.
It's not a show. Yeah, you gotta like.
Have you seen those? This is before I saw this. So I'm boycotting Disney. But I saw, what was it called? The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Have you seen that, Atheer?
Oh yeah, I've seen an episode of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the first season is insane.
Yeah, I couldn't. I watched a couple episodes and I was like, I cannot. Yeah. This is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
You were like too many blondes who look the same.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching here.
Yeah.
That's actually, to be honest, I'm not a reality TV person at all. Oh. I just watched Love is Blind for the first time, I think, with you, and everyone kept talking about it, but I'm not really like.
So did you not watch Project Runway growing up or anything like that?
So I guess I would like growing up, I'd watch like the MTV shows, and I've watched like a few episodes, to be honest.
America's Next Top Model.
I've seen a few episodes. I have, but I guess competition shows are a little bit different. They are reality versus just like people just causing drama for no reason and manufactured drama.
I can tell you're healthier than me by the amount of shows you haven't watched. You know what I mean? You haven't seen Project Runway. You haven't seen America's Next Top Model. Like, good for you.
They should add that to the psychology intake when you go see a therapist. You know, they have like the PHQ-9. It's like, have you thought about killing yourself? Have you watched all 10 seasons of Project Runway? I don't know.
Oh my God.
Sorry, but that should be added to your
Also, intake. I just want to say that like you and I started comedy so young. When did we meet? We met in 2011, was it? No, 2012.
Probably. 2012 maybe. Yeah.
When we started, I don't think either of us thought we would achieve what we've achieved. So I just want to say I'm really proud of both of us.
Mm-hmm. Me too. And so hard to remember that. And it's so easy to forget and feel like you haven't moved forward when it's like
Yeah.
crazy leaps and bounds of like
Like
where we've moved.
when we first did the New York Arab American Comedy Fest, I barely had 5 minutes. Half of it wasn't good. But the fact that I was performing at Gotham Comedy Club was like, ugh, the world. So, and now look at us, like we can both hold our own to go up on stage. We can follow anyone. We have good jokes. We have something to say. I don't know, like we're good at the thing we decided we wanted to do. And I think that that's easier said than done, especially comedy, because you have to bomb so hard and go through so many and I'm just really happy that you are on this journey with me.
Oh,
you know,
me too.
that I
I
wasn't
don't
the-
think I could do it alone. Honestly,
Aw.
you need like good friends. You need people who understand you. And having another Arab woman, another Muslim
Yeah.
woman go through it together, it's not common. We didn't really have that.
We only had
Even
each
barely
other.
now.
Like
Yeah.
Maysoon was older than us, you know? Like she was in a other generation and she had different friends and she had like a different life. And I feel like you and I kind of grew up together. And I feel like since 2010, I've been telling you that I'm going to move to New York. And I think you've
Oh my
given up
God. I know.
at this
I know.
point. I think that like I genuinely did want to, but then I had a lot of mental health issues that like I really wish I had moved in the pandemic. Like I really wish when you first moved to Brooklyn that I had moved then, but I can't go back in time and change things. And I think that like since and I didn't move because I've had a lot of stuff going on up here. And then also this genocide happened and 2023, I was going to move to New York. Like I had sublet an apartment and I was like, I'm moving in November or December. But then the war started. And back then we called it a war. And then my conscience was like, I cannot give the US empire a single dollar to bomb children. Like I can't go there and pay rent and pay sales tax. Like I just couldn't do it. You know, it wasn't like a decision. I swear to God, I just was a non-starter. And I think that like, but that meant me putting my life on pause, and that's not helping anyone, and it's not helping them. And so now I feel like I'm in a better place mentally to go to the empire, and I think having you there will be really helpful.
Yeah,
think
like I said, we need community, we need people, I need friends.
Yeah.
I would love to
I'm
have
gonna sleep
you
on your
here.
couch.
Ahla sahla.
Although I do
Come
wish
on.
you had blinds, Atheer. You have these white curtains. They're see-through, right?
You don't wear
I do
eye
wear a
mask?
face
Does that
mask,
help?
but I need both,
Me too.
unfortunately. I do. It's
Oh,
okay.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see
It's
about
okay.
renovating. I'll see what.
Yeah, please, can you do that? No, I remember like this apartment, like I helped you move into it, and it's such a grown-up apartment and it's so beautiful. And I feel like, I don't know, like you're living the dream. We're all living the dream, but I feel like you should, I don't think you, maybe you do realize, but like you live in New York City and you pay your own rent and you have a nice apartment, and those are like, that's an incredibly difficult thing to do while also being an artist.
It is. Alhamdulillah. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for it. I really am. I really, really am. And I've had to work hard for everything that I have. I don't have, help from my family. It's not like that. Like, so I've really worked my ass off. I lived in some of like the toughest like situations. So I'm really grateful. Yesterday I was like, it was really hot, and I just kept saying like, thank God for just AC. I remember all those sweaty nights when I moved here and not having anything, maybe a fan, but I'm like in this heat wave. I'm just, every time I turn on the AC, I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
so grateful just for functional AC.
Yes. I have a window AC, so I feel like I'm half grateful. Do you know what I mean? Once I have full AC. When I go to Jordan and I'm at home, we have those ACs with the like
what you-
remotes, and it's like,
Yeah,
I'm a
that's what I
queen.
have.
I'm
Yeah.
Cleopatra.
I know.
I am
I know.
Nefertiti
I know.
right now. Yeah,
That's all you need.
that's all we need. Atheer, I feel like maybe like what advice would you give a younger Arab Muslim female comic who is maybe in our shoes, who's like looking at you and all that you've achieved? What would you tell the younger generation who want to get into comedy or the arts? Is there like anything you'd want, is there anything that you would want to have known when you started? Maybe that's a better way of putting it. Because I feel like when you ask people for advice, it's like you don't know what to say. But if you were like, what would you tell your younger self?
Something I'm still telling myself is like, this is a road that only you are on. Do not compare yourself to anybody else or their progress. And only, do whatever the hell you want, and only do it if it's bringing you love and joy and it's worth it. Because otherwise, what's the point? Might as well be in a cubicle doing whatever.
Right.
So like, do it for the love, do it for, because you can't. And I think we'd hear this advice early on. Do it if there's nothing else you can think of doing, right? It's like, it's not an easy thing. It's like a long, difficult, arduous road to do comedy. And you have to be like, you have to really love it to perform for free most of the time, bombing, being humiliated. Just like the number of like, I don't know, it's just, it is a difficult thing. But I think if you just do it because you love it and do it for you and don't compare yourself to anyone else, that's really what, and be unique and don't be afraid to like say whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, that's such good advice. Like especially the don't compare, because even like 12, 13 years in, I'll still do it. And it brings nothing but negativity and pain, and like, it's not helping, it's not helpful. It's like, and the thing about having fun is like, one of the best pieces of advice I got was write what you think is funny and not what you think other people will find funny. Right. Because that's a losing game. So if it's fun for you and it's your sense of humor and it's not working now, it's going to work later, and you'll find people who like your sense of humor, and they will gravitate towards you. Yeah.
Yes, the audience will find you, exactly, because there's no point in trying to guess what other people find funny. And
so if you're like a hack, you like hacky material, follow Atheer. She's
I'll show you how to do it. It wouldn't be Nour if she wasn't also insulting me at the same time. I'm like, there it is.
You were waiting for it.
Compliment real thick.
Yeah.
So you can tear
Atheer's
me down.
Headlining the Laugh Hut. The Laugh Hut. What else? The Chuckle Shop.
I'm sure there's one out there. Honestly, it's been so dry this summer. I'll fucking if there's a Chuckle Hut out there, find me. I'll come.
It's
I'll
so
come
funny.
Headline. I don't care where it is.
No, Atheer is going to be in Toronto this fall. So please, where can people find you, Atheer?
Just follow me at Atheer Yacoub, AtheerYacoub on Instagram. Have my shows posted on my website, atheeryacoub.com.
Yes.
And
people need to repost your clips if they believe in a free Palestine. Then you should be reposting all of Atheer's comedy. I feel like that's.
You don't. You're a racist. That's how it goes.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for doing the pod. This was so lovely. You're so incredible. I love you so much.
To catch up. I miss you. We need like a proper catch up now.
Yes. What are you free? I'm working on the weekend, unfortunately. I got a job writing on. Did I tell you I got a job writing on a show? I don't think I did.
No. Congrats.
Yeah, I got a job writing on a show.
Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's called Still Standing, and we travel through Canada and we showcase small towns that have been through something, and we write a 40-minute stand-up act, like me and the other writers for the host. We write a 40-minute act about the town and all the people we've met. And so, but that means that I work weekends sometimes. And because I got bit by a mosquito in New Brunswick, this episode is in PEI and it's very buggy. So the production is like, we don't want to have any chances. So Nour, you're going to work from home this episode. Like, we're not going to bring you out. But that means I have to be like, and it's like all throughout the day. So like maybe at night I'll get, but then you'll be doing shows at night.
It's okay. We don't have to figure it out on air right now.
That's true. I guess. Well, you guys.
We'll figure it out.
Heard There's my inner monologue. Okay.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. No pressure.
All right, love.
Love you.
I love you more. I will call you. We will talk.
No pressure.
No, there is pressure now. we need to do
Yeah,
it.
you all heard it, and hold
Yeah.
Nour accountable.
Now I have to live up to it because I'm not good at calling people or. Okay, we're gonna do it, Atheer. It's gonna happen.
I get it. I hold no. Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, well, break a leg at the Laugh Hut. We're all rooting for you.
Thank you. Do follow me for real dates, though. Okay,
Yes,
love you.
and watch
Bye.
her special Denied Entry on
Denied
YouTube.
Entry on YouTube. Why did I
It's
say it at the same
amazing.
time? Okay.
Okay, Habibti.
Thank you. Love you. Love you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was Atheer. I want to say thank you to everyone who subscribes on Patreon. I have 6 subscribers, and one of them, Ian, requested Atheer, which is why she was the guest. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, please message me. Let me know who you want me to have on the pod. If there's any topics you want me to discuss, I am very open. Subscription, it's just $5.99 a month, you guys. So if you wanna support, if you believe women, then you should pay me the $5.99 a month. That's all I'll say. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next episode.